The land of India is completely unknown to me. Its history, mythology, entire world is pretty much unlike anything I have ever had the privilege to experience. It may be on the same tiny rock that I live on, but it might as well be a completely other world. And that's probably why I want to learn about it and understand it. Get to know its mysteries, its beliefs, and its values. If I were to look at the life of a woman, just like me, 46, with 2 kids, working, single mom, I bet even with those similarities, we would still be worlds apart in the daily life. In fact, the few similarities we would have, aside from making sure our kids are well taken care of and become decent adults, I bet the rest of our lives would be vastly different. Take, for instance, our beliefs and values. Take, for instance, sacred deities, like the elephant, for example. Now, when I was a teen, I loved elephants. I still do. I loved how strong they were and big and, just powerful, yet they were so gentle and so smart. I learned a lot just about reading up on them. I learned that it was the matriarch, the mother, grandmother, and sometimes great-grandmother who took care of the herd. She led them to food, she led them to water, she taught them everything that they would need to know. Elephants represent royalty. They represent strength, divinity, intelligence, as well as destructive power, fertility, and abundance. To some, they believe that if you dream of an elephant, it can signify an important time in your life when strength is going to be required. For those who are pregnant and dream of an elephant, it is a sign of something special, like Ganesha. Now, I'm sure many of us have heard of this great god Ganesha. He is a deity honored by those who follow the Buddhism belief as well as the Hindus belief. The influence of this god goes all the way back to the 1st century BCE. The great Lord Ganesha has an image of an elephant. Well, I should say the upper image, the head, in fact. It has a trunk, tusks, and ears, just like an Indian elephant. I say Indian elephant because there is the Indian elephant and then there is the African elephant. Now, the African elephant is much larger than the Indian elephant, but in terms of Ganesha and the people of India, we're going to look at the Indian elephant. Now, Ganesha, like I said, has the head of an elephant, trunk, ears, and 1 tusk. The other thing with Ganesha is he also has 2 sets of arms, and there are always a series of objects in his hands, and they do represent different things. In his lower left hand, he holds a bowl of what usually are sweets, and it is this bowl that his trunk is almost always reaching towards. In his lower right hand is the other tusk, broken. Now, his upper hands will usually hold a variety of weapons, such as axes, maybe a noose, and sometimes even a trident. Each thing he holds has some symbolism. Ganesha is the son of the goddess Parvati, and Parvati was the wife of Shiva. As this one story goes, Parvati was wanting to take a bath, and she wanted peace. And I can totally understand that, because there's plenty of times when I want a bath, and I want some peace too. Now, the goddess Parvati advised her faithful servant, Nandi, to not let anyone in while she was bathing. And Nandi, who was very devout to Parvati, unless Shiva had something to say about it. Of course he did. He appeared and he wanted to enter. Now, Nandi did say, Parvati wishes to not be disturbed. Shiva did not like this and demanded that he be allowed to enter. Like I said, Nandi was faithful to Parvati, but when it came to Shiva, Shiva came first. So Nandi made way, opened the door, and allowed Shiva in. And this infuriated Parvati. And she wanted that to have somebody who would just worship her, and somebody who would show her the same devotion as Nandi showed Shiva. So Parvati created her son and named him Ganesha. And Ganesha was very faithful to Parvati, above no one else could surpass her. So again, Parvati decided she wanted to take a bath. She advised her son Ganesha to not let anyone in. And as it happens again, Shiva appeared and demanded to be let in. Ganesha stood his ground and said, "No, you are not allowed to enter." Well, as you can guess, when a god like Shiva is told no, he does not take it very well. So he sent his armies to destroy Ganesha. Ganesha, being the son of Parvati, I'll just tell you, that army didn't stand a chance. Ganesha destroyed the army. This, unfortunately, enraged Shiva. And being the hot-tempered deity that he is, he cut Ganesha's head off. Now, I'm sure we can all imagine how Parvati felt. Parvati is actually a representation. She is a representation of the supreme energy of the Devi. And I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly and putting the right emphasis on the right vowels. If not, please let me know. Parvati, being the supreme energy, was again enraged, and she went straight to the creator, Brahma, and demanded that all life end now. Well, Brahma, being a creator, not so much a destroyer, suggested that maybe killing everybody was not be the best route, and he asked politely for Parvati to reconsider. Now, Parvati said she would consider, but only on two conditions. One, that her son Ganesha be brought back to life. And two, that he forever be worshipped before all other gods. At this time, Shiva had a chance to reflect on his actions, and he agreed with Parvati. He agreed with her conditions. And he asked Brahma to go out and bring back the head of the very first creature he found. But the head had to be facing north. And wouldn't you know it, the first head that Brahma finds is the head of an elephant. Shiva placed the head on the body and breathed life back into him. Shiva then declared Ganesha his own son as well, and declared him the leader of all the Ganas. Ganas is a term that refers to all classes of beings. Now, I'm going to stop the story here. This episode is on sacred creatures, but I will say the symbolism and the mythology that goes into that, just that little story, is very vast, and I would love to discuss it more. But for right now, we're just going to stick with the sacred creatures. Another thing that I had actually heard about the people of India, and I heard about this a long time ago, was that they placed a high value on cows. And I think I heard about this because it was being mocked, unfortunately. But I didn't see why. I mean, have you seen some of these cows? They're really cute. They're really adorable. And I think a lot of people don't realize just how important they are to just about everybody. Now, I myself, I am not a milk drinker. I am fairly lactose intolerant. And I don't really eat a lot of red meat. Very, very rarely will I eat red meat. However, but to own a cow is really something remarkable. You have something there that sustains your life, so it would make sense to honor it. And sadly, it's really not how they've been treated. And I think we can all agree that the treatment of cows really should be changed. At least that's my thoughts. The cow, I think, is adorable. And to the people of India, the cow is a symbolism of wealth. The cow is seen as a nurturer, as a motherly image. They are seen as righteous. They're even seen as divine, containing purity, and they are seen as a creature of sacrifice. And it really is. A mother cow will do everything and anything, including give up her life at times to save her children. That seems very motherly, seems very nurturous, and that right there is a huge sacrifice. A bull will rage to protect his herd. In ancient times, a person living in India who owned a cow, or even numerous cows, held a status over others. It showed they had wealth. When worshiping the cow in its mother goddess form, you look to the cow for kindness and understanding and protection. This is something Mahatma Gandhi knew, and why he declared the protection of cows a central aspect of Hinduism, as the Hindus believed that cows are gifts from gods, and they should be treated with the utmost respect, and taking care of a cow can actually earn you good karma and spiritual notice from the gods. If we take a look at a lord in his treatment of the cows, we can see just how special they are. I mean, we take its milk from its children to feed our own children. We use it to create foods, numerous foods, and we also use its meat. Others even use the hide. Now, to lose a sacred creature such as a cow would be beyond detrimental to many who, again, value the life of the cow. Lord Krishna knew just how sacred a cow was, how important they were to his people. He even had a herd of his very own, and it is believed that he is a protector of the cow. In fact, there is a story where, in order to protect his herd, Lord Krishna lifted the entire hill that his cows were grazing on and placed it right on the top of his finger so that they could avoid a heavy rain. And the great god Shiva, sometimes known as Goraknath, again, I hope I pronounced that correctly. I'm gonna bet I didn't, but I mean no disrespect. Anyways, that means Lord of the Cows. The Hindu faith seems to have realized that in order to survive and thrive, we need to take care of and respect those sacred creatures. The cow, the elephant, even the horse, these are all animals of the earth. We can see them, we can connect with them, we live and breathe with them. Just like the bees, we really cannot live without them, no matter how hard we try. However, these are some of the earthbound creatures, and in the Hindu faith, there is a god called Vishnu. He is a god who is considered the sustainer of the world, and he manifests as various sometimes animal-human hybrids, and sometimes just as humans, but all of these images are called avatars. Now, the Vishnu, or I should say the god Vishnu, has a total of 10 avatars. Now, the word avatar means descent in Sanskrit. One of Vishnu's avatars is called Matsya, the fish. He can appear as either a fish or a combination of the fish-human hybrid, a little similar to the mermaids I had discussed in episode 17. However, the human part would be that of a man and not a woman. But the lower part would still be fishy. Now, Matsya has 4 hands. One holds a conch shell, one holds a discus, one is in the pose of the Varada Mudra, and the other is in the pose of Abhaya Mudra. Now, I will have pictures of these images on my Instagram page if you would like to see, but for a visual description, the right hand would be palm out with the fingertips down, while the left hand would also be palm out, but the fingertips would be pointed upwards. Another of the avatars is the Varhara. This is a boar, and it is usually always seen in full boar form. There's really not a hybrid version of this avatar. Now, Vahara is a fighter. In fact, he fought in a 1,000-year war with a demon called Hiranyaksha. This demon had captured the earth and was trying to drag it down to the bottom of a body of water, which they refer to as a sea. However, Varhara fought, slaying the demon, and rose the earth from the sea and carried it on his tusks. Now, when this particular avatar appears, it's definitely going to be during a real time of strife. Narasimha is a half lion, half human avatar of the god Vishnu. The upper part is going to have the head of a lion, but it can also sometimes be the head of a man, except it's very, very feline-like. Now, this avatar, Narasimha, he erupted from a pillar of stone and killed another powerful demon. And I'm not going to pronounce this very well, but I will give it a shot. The demon's name is Hiranyakashipu. This demon was very, very powerful, and he had boasted that he could not be killed by man or animal. However, the god Vishnu heard this and emerged in that lion-man form to put that demon in its place. Now, there are a few standard descriptions of the Narasimha, like I said. One is him in his lion hybrid man form. The other, though, depicts him emerging from the pillar from the story. And he's in the middle of ripping the entrails out from the demon. And in others, he's just a curly-maned man with slightly feline undertones, and he's usually seated in his man-animal hybrid form, but with sort of a passive expression. So I think that's alluding to the fact that even though this avatar is extremely strong, he really does not show this ferocity unless it's well warranted. Now, the Kumar is Vishnu in the form of a tortoise. When Vishnu takes this form, he does so to support what's called the churning stick. So, the churning stick, what does that mean? Well, it actually goes back to when the gods and the Asuras, these are demons, decided to work together to create an elixir of immortality. In order to do this, though, all the gods and the demons had to work together and create a churning of this elixir. It had to be moved and stirred. And in order to get these ingredients and to keep them in this combined state of mixture, The god Vishnu took on this tortoise form so that he could continue churning the stick and the ingredients would continue to be mixed. Sadly, it doesn't explain exactly what the ingredients are, so nobody really knows how to get to that immortality. Now, there is another avatar of the Vishnu, the Vanamana, who is a dwarf, appears when a demon king called Bali had ruled the universe, earth, and heaven, and even the space in between, resulting in the disappearance of other gods' powers. Now Vishnu took on the form of this dwarf, Vamana, and begged Bali to allow him to take just 3 steps. And every bit of land that those 3 steps covered would belong to Vishnu. Now, Bali was arrogant and a little boisterous, and at that request he said, sure, go for it. Well, at the time, again, Vishnu was just a dwarf. However, once Bali agreed to the competition, Vishnu took on a gigantic form, and with 1 step, he had covered the entire earth. With the 2nd step, he covered the entire space between the heaven and the earth. Before taking his 3rd and final step, the demon king, Bali, lowered his head, and as Vamana pressed his foot down on that 3rd and final step, the demon king Bali descended to the netherworld, where he now rules. Our 6th avatar of the Vishnu is widely worshipped and considered to be a prince. That is Prince Rama. Now, Prince Rama represents the utmost in moral virtue and pretty much on how one should really present themselves. In the avatar of Prince Rama, Vishnu is the ever-faithful and most honest son, and was chosen to be the heir to the kingdom of the city of Ayodhya. Sadly, there is deceit, and Prince Rama is forced to the nearby forest. And for 14 years, that is where he lives. And this is all because of the jealousy of Queen Kaikai. Without complaint, Prince Rama had retreated to this forest with his wife Sita and his brother. In this forest, the prince is tempted by many demons, and through these trials he finds that he is of divine lineage and the incarnation of the god Vishnu. Our 7th avatar is that of Krishna. Krishna is probably the most widely known of Vishnu's avatars. A number of cults have made Krishna their main deity. However, in Krishna's early years, he was known as a bit of a prankster. Krishna had been raised by cowherders as his aunt Kamsa wanted to murder Krishna and his siblings. In order to protect him, he was raised by Nanda and Yashoda. Throughout Krishna's life, he evolved from the prankster of his youth to a cowherder himself. As a young man, he was known to be a great lover and also a great warrior, having returned to his home and killing his evil aunt. During that great war between Kauravas and the Pandavas, Krishna actually denied to bear arms for either side. He instead gave each one a choice. One could have him, and him alone, fight on their side, while the other side could loan his army. Now, the Pandavas ended up choosing the former. During the fighting, Krishna's brother and son were killed, and sadly, as Krishna mourned their deaths, he was shot by a hunter in the heel. The heel was the only vulnerable place. It killed him instantly. Now, this is just a small description of the life of Krishna. But if you spend some time and dive a bit deeper into his life, you can see how he grew, developed, and became the divine lover, nurturer, and protector that he is worshipped for now. The eighth avatar of Vishnu is called Balarama. He is actually the brother to Krishna, well, half-brother. He and Krishna shared many adventures. Some early records show Balarama as an architectural deity, while others believe him to be either the serpent or a representation of the serpent Shisha. However, all portraits and carvings show him to be of a fairer complexion than his brother. He is said to have a love of wine and was fiercely strong. Now, the ninth avatar is one you really do not want to mess with. This avatar is named Parashurama. He cut off the head of his own mother when his father ordered it. Why was he given such a duty? Well, his father suspected his mother, Renuak, of unchaste thought. When Parashurama's father was killed by a Kshatriya, Parashurama killed all the male Kshatriyas on the earth 21 successive times, meaning each time one was killed, the wife would give birth to a new generation, being male, and that male would again be killed. It is said that with all the death and blood, it is reported that all that blood filled up 5 lakes. Now, our final avatar of the great god Vishnu is Kalki, the mighty warrior. This avatar has yet to be seen, and in fact, he will not be seen until all the virtue and dharma, meaning all the morality that governs a person, is gone, will the great and mighty warrior Kalki appear. When he does so, he will destroy the wicked and make way for a new age. Now you will know it is him, as he will be seated on a white horse, with his sword unsheathed and blazing like a comet. Only when his white horse stamps the ground will it drop into the deep, allowing the chance for the earth to be restored to its former glory. Well, I have to say, this all was just a very small taste of the spiritual beliefs of India. It really took me by surprise, I have to say. I had no idea the depth of India's lore and beliefs. I hope I did this little bit justice, as this is a land that I have, said I'm not really familiar with. If any of you have suggestions or criticisms, please feel free to let me know. I found this episode to be a real eye-opener, and I really enjoyed discovering the sacred creatures of India. You can feel free to visit my Instagram page, Campfire Ghost Stories, or Cottage Weaver of Fiber and Tales, for photos and descriptions not found in this podcast. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Sacred Creatures, and I am hoping to get one more episode in before October is over.